How's it going, everybody? And welcome to this episode of Halos in the Infield. It's been a while since we formally caught up. There's been a lot that's happened in Angels world, including John Carpino retiring, some more rumblings of ownership changing hands potentially. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about World Baseball Classic and everything else in the Angels universe. All that and more after this.
You are watching the Halos in the Infield podcast. From everything Halos to full series recaps to upcoming series projections for the fans by the fans. Enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome in. As my partner in crime stated before that cool intro by Randy, we're back doing a little Angels content, some WBC. It's good to have you back, Lone Star. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well. World Baseball Classic's wrapping up. If you guys are watching this now, the second semifinal is currently taking place. Italy is up 2-0 where we currently stand right now. So there's a very good chance we could see tomorrow's finale be Italy versus the U.S. So far, the only team the U.S. has lost to. But we will see. That game is still very early on.
Yeah, I mean, you got Italy versus America, if that's what it comes down to, or Venezuela. Either one, the big names aren't there, but the heart and the passion is. So let's hope the U.S. takes them seriously, because it should be a fun one tomorrow.
Yeah, obviously everyone had Italy making the finals.
Yeah, exactly. Next to Australia, I had Australia. Yeah.
He really thought that Travis Bazzana was going to run the gauntlet himself. Todd's a big Travis Bazzana guy.
And Calzone. That's my two favorite players.
Not Miles Mastrobuoni from Italy.
Oh, Mastrobuoni's my Major League Baseball favorite. So
okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Well, where do we start, Fernando? Where what do you want to hit on first here when it comes to the Angels?
So, obviously you've been doing a lot of the World Baseball Classic post-game shows. So we've definitely we've been around, but we haven't formally gotten to talk about what's going on in the Angels universe. So you have John Carpino retiring. That was what announced last week.
Correct.
You currently have Zach Neto in a splint. Now, apparently it's nothing major. He is projected to still be healthy come opening day. But this is the Angels, so you never know. I mean, I'm knocking on wood right now. If any of you guys are near anything wood, I recommend knocking on it too. So we can hope that Zach Neto has a fully healthy 2026, because that's one thing we've never seen. We have never seen a full year of Zach Neto healthy, and the Angels need that, but so does Major League Baseball. So those are two topics. Which one do you want to hit on first, Todd?
I say we hit on Carpino, because Carpino was his longtime friend, helped him set up the billboard business, followed him into Artie Moreno Incorporated, basically, and has helped him get the Angels where they are. He's been one of these guys who you wouldn't think, with his baseball knowledge or lack thereof, would be one of these guys that's in control or in command of what's going on, but he has been for some time. So the rumor out there that I've heard, Fernando, is that this is step one towards Artie pulling out. Do you believe in that rumor, or is this just it's time for Mr. Carpino to retire from Angels baseball?
Look, I mean, it's no secret that Artie and company are getting a little long in the tooth, right? I mean, Artie especially is starting to flirt with that big 80 number. I think he's in his late 70s.
He's 79.
Okay, yeah, I'm not too sure on John Carpino's age, but I do know that he's been around with Artie Moreno for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I think it's only fair to assume that he's getting up there as well. This is most people tend to retire in their 60s, not in their 80s. We try to give credit where credit is due. And what I will say to Artie Moreno and company is that they have done a great job branding the Angels from being a small market to medium market team to making them a big market team. Now, has that been the case since number 17 traveled up the 5 freeway and started wearing blue? Obviously that's kind of changed the dynamic a bit, but there was a very long period of time there. I mean, when would you it was really right around the World Series, but it really became prevalent in like 2004 and 2005 that the Angels were a major market team. So I think that John Carpino is a very big piece to that puzzle, there was a good period of time there where business was booming for the Angels. And it really wasn't until, I would say, last season was probably the first season where I think fans really started to sour on the product. And could it be age? Maybe. Could it be frustration? Could it just be simply that it was time to move on? It was obviously one of those. Maybe it was the latter. But John Carpino did decide that it was time to retire. I will begrudgingly say I hope you enjoy retirement. But hey, we now have somebody named is it Molly Jolly?
Jolly Molly, Molly Wally. I don't know. Sounds like a lollipop either way. I just hope she doesn't act like one. Look, if she's a great female executive, more power to her. Let's do it. I don't care. As long as she knows baseball, as long as she knows what's good for the organization, and most importantly, Fernando, something that I think this organization has forgotten a lot about since 2014, maybe a little earlier, what the fans want. They haven't gone out and gotten what the fans want, which is pitching. Stability in the pitching rotation. None of that has been on the menu, whether that's Carpino's fault, whether that's Artie's fault, whether it's just a collective organization. Molly Jolly Wally, Holly Dolly, whatever. Let's get it done, girl. Let's, if you're going to be changing the guard, let's get something better than what Carpino was, who I think, to your point, Carpino was just like, hey, you know what? I'm in my easy chair. Maybe he got too comfortable. Maybe he's making Artie comfortable. I mean, these guys are best friends, dude. Him and Artie.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have a working relationship that's been going on for a long, long time. It has come to an end. Now, there is a lot of speculation of, is the writing on the wall? Does this mean that Artie's going to be on the way out? I think at some point, Artie Moreno is going to be on the way out. I mean, is he formally shopping the team? Perhaps not, but I do think that if the price is right, the change will happen. But I think next year's potential lockout is really going to give us our answer on Artie Moreno and what he's going to do. But, hey, writing's on the wall. I think a lot of people know that the iceberg is ahead for this ownership. You can't even call it an ownership group for the owner. I think it's only a matter of time. I would like to think that by the time that, in the next 5 years, we will fully be into the reign of a new ownership group. I don't think one single person is going to be able to buy this organization. It seems like the days of single owners are kind of dying anyway. It seems like more often than not, a lot of these teams are getting purchased by ownership groups, equity groups, what have you.
Well, let me pick your brain one more question before we move on from this topic, because you brought up a good point. I was thinking about this the other day, and I wanted to ask you if, say, for instance, we do have a lockout that unfortunately would cancel out the 2027 season altogether. And let's just say that Artie doesn't get hit so hard, but he does have to pay out for renovations. Can he survive no ticket sales and no merchandise and losing out on a whole season plus paying for renovations, in your opinion?
I think he can. I mean, we do have to remember that he is one of the more richer owners, especially given the fact that it's just him. I mean, he's worth almost $5 billion. So I do think he could take a hit. I mean, does he want to? Of course not. But, we will see what kind of deal gets worked with the city of Anaheim, because the other thing is, okay, let's just say he's on the hook for the renovations. But let's just say he does legally buy the land around Angel Stadium, something that was a concern the first time. Because here's the thing. If I have to now renovate the stadium, but I'm the sole owner of the stadium, you best believe I'm going to put some good money into it, right? Because now I'm more incentivized to put in bars, and not exactly clubs, but environments where people get to hang out, very much like Petco Park has. You're incentivized to put that kind of stuff in. Because the thing with Angel Stadium, there's really not a lot of places to linger. Seriously, no. Besides the Budweiser porch, and then where your season tickets are, the Corona area, and even that's a pretty terrible area to just hang around. Budweiser porch, it's okay. But I've had to stand in left field before, and I don't really like it. I think Angel Stadium, if they were to do it right, could have some really great vantage points and really great viewpoints. And we both know if people can get a $5 ticket to watch a good baseball team on a Friday night, Saturday night, what have you, these owners make a boatload of money because we were harping on the whole affordability thing and the whole safety thing, but people do want an affordable ticket, right? It doesn't matter how good the team is. People are willing to spend a little bit more money if the team's good. But let's face it, if the Angels are in first place, you've got a family of 4, you're still not going to pay $100 to sit up in the nosebleeds. You know what I mean? But, if it's you and your buddy on a Friday night, it's August, the Angels are in second place, or like 3 games out, and you can get a cheap seat for $7, you'll pay the $7, you'll go stand at the Budweiser patio, and people happily do that. And then, you're spending barely any money getting tickets, you start spending more money on booze, blah, 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 blah.
And those are excellent points, because if the Angels would do something more with that center field area where the Erstad track used to be, we talked about that too. If they would build something like what the Dodgers have, how they have the perch, the big bars on each side of where the bullpens are, home and away, or maybe something like the Royals, how they have their own stuff out there. I know that we got the Budweiser Pavilion or what's now the Modelo Pavilion in right field. That's usually pretty popular with the fans. But if you had like an eatery or something out there with a bar and something for the kids to do, something where they could either play like a cornhole or some sort of game out there, because how many times, I've been to so many Angel games, Fernando, where people will buy those cheap tickets. They'll go on and they'll get the very corner tickets for $5 or less. And then they spend the rest of the evening walking the terrace, getting different vantage points from behind the home plate by the handicapped sign, standing room only type seating, or they go by the bars, they have a drink, they're yucking it up with their friends. And I think that's what most Angel fans like to do. Like, despite the team on the field, they're still having a good time. And there's, like you said, they're paying cheaper tickets than the family 4-pack because they're able to just get their buddies in and have a good drink and have a good time.
Yeah, ownership needs to adjust, and I think eventually once a new face comes in here, not only will they care about winning, they'll make the fans care about winning, because apparently the Angels fans don't care about winning, according to Artie Moreno. Don't shoot the messenger. That's what he said. And,
Yeah, that's important. That's important, is to get the fans engaged on a winner, on a team, because again, if I just keep going back to Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. If you build a winner, look at San Diego. You were there when the Padres had those hideous uniforms before they switched to these, and you were saying they couldn't draw flies. Tickets were cheap. The team was bad, but when they built a winner, it doesn't seem to matter. San Diego fans, like you've said, they'll come, and they had one of the best attendance outside the Dodgers.
Yeah, growing up in San Diego, I've seen them turn into a baseball city again. Growing up in San Diego, it was already kind of starting to fizzle. It was 2001 when I moved there. Mm-hmm. So I got to see the last 2 years of Qualcomm Stadium or Jack Murphy for any of you old folks out there. And then, I got to see the first couple of years of Petco Park. We saw them make the playoffs in like 2005, 2006. And then there was really nothing to get excited about. After 2010 is really when it started to go downhill. And now, you turn on a Padres game against the Giants on a Tuesday, or against the Rockies even, and there's still a pretty good crowd out there. Yeah. Meanwhile, you turn on an Angels game, they're playing, I don't know. Who's a competitive team? I don't want to say the Dodgers, because those games sell out. Dodgers, Red Sox, Yankees, those games always sell out.
Say the Mariners.
Yeah, a heated rival, right?
Yeah,
on a Saturday night, and there'll be like 32,000 people there. Mm-hmm. Terrible crowd? No. But, on a Saturday night, you should be seeing closer to 40, because, the stadium fits 45. It's one of the bigger stadiums in Major League Baseball. So getting 45 consistently, that's pretty tough. But, you should definitely be in the 40s on a Saturday. The kids love the pew pew fireworks.
Oh yeah, and back in the day, before they had like the endless amounts of freebies to give away, and
Christmas in June.
Yeah, Christmas in June, Star Wars, the whole nine. It was hard to get a ticket when this team was winning. The tickets were hard to get. They were fast, and you would go on a Wednesday night. I remember going several times on a Wednesday night or a Thursday, and it was a sold out crowd or damn near close. And it was fun. It was the thing to do. So I want them to get back to those days because again, breeding wins breeds that type of want to come see a team like that. So let's move on from that, Fernando. Let's talk what's actually in between the lines. There's a couple players we wanted to highlight, correct? As
Uh,
far
for the Springs,
yeah, for the
well,
spring, or do you want to get into other
no,
moves?
that's fine. Let's go ahead and talk about the fact that Christian Moore, Kyron Paris have both been sent down
Mhm.
recently. I think like Caden Dana was just assigned to a minor league camp, and then some of these other players that have rejoined the organization after the World Baseball Classic, like or Sammy
Mhm.
Natera Jr. He just got sent down to minor league camp as well. So you and I have talked off air, and you were really surprised by Kyron Paris getting set down. You want to go ahead and elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, Kyron Paris was actually having a pretty good spring. At one point, he was at 364. I think that since they set him down, he was at 305 or something like that. He had some stolen bases. He had quite a few more hits than he did last spring. Last year, it seemed like he had that proverbial launch angle. This spring, not so much. He seemed to be squaring the bat to the ball. And there was we talked about off air, there was last season, one of his family members was actually on the show from, I believe, North or South Carolina, and he said that the coaches were mad at Kyron Paris because he did not adjust to what they wanted him to do, either towards his struggling there late April and then also in May when he went back down to the minors. They were saying he was kind of uncoachable, so that's why he really didn't get a second chance during last season. And that could be, to your point, Fernando, when we talked off air, a reason why they sent him down. Maybe he's still not following or he's still in the doghouse.
Yeah, let's real quick. You already kind of mentioned that he was having a good spring. So through 27 at bats, he's batting 333. No home runs, but that's fine. You know, he was never really a power guy. Besides the beginning part of last year in spring training, 3 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, an OPS of 975. That's pretty impressive. He's 24 years old. Okay, so you definitely need to start figuring out what you're going to do with Kyron Paris. He's definitely at the age now where he's part of the puzzle or he's not. And if he's not part of the puzzle, so be it. But give the kid an opportunity to go play somewhere else and be part of, someone else's puzzle. Because,
Yeah.
Kyron Paris, sure, he's very streaky, right? I'm not going to say anybody, can get to the show, right? That's unrealistic. But once you start making it to the minors, for lack of a better phrasing, anybody can make the show once you're in the minor leagues, right?
Oh, yeah.
Guys make it all the time, especially when you're on the Angels. You get called up for a quick sip of coffee all the time. But only the best stick around. The best adjust. That's the difference between a major leaguer and a AAA guy, a 4A guy. The ability to stick around because you changed your approach. We saw last year, Kyron Paris get called up, have immediate success, and then once the pitcher started figuring him out, really started taking no dive, and he could no longer adjust and stick around at the major league level. Could that be because he's uncoachable, as we were told? Maybe not. Maybe it was. We will never know. Only Kyron will know. But at the end of the day, he's definitely at the point of his career where he needs a sense of direction.
Yeah.
Is he sticking around? Does he need to go be a White Sox? Whatever. But the organization needs to figure out what they have in the kid. And it seems like they're just going to throw him in the minors and defer.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because I think I've been always under the impression with a team like this, I don't think we need to be swinging for the fences. I think this team needs to be the type of team to exploit their speed. They have a lot of speed. Nelson Rada, when's he going to be due to come to the lineup? You got Kyron Paris. If you can get Christian Moore right, maybe settle him down a little bit, make him a contact hitter at first till he finds his groove. A lot of people compare him a little bit to Howie Kendrick. I think it's a little unfair. But I think, Howie Kendrick didn't start out as a power hitter, and he never really was. He just, went with the home run ball when he got a chance. And when he needed to take a home run swing, he did. But that was a guy who always tried to fish the ball down the right field line. So I'm hoping that this team can utilize its speed. It does have speed. We'll see a healthy Adele. He's having a really good spring. His leg's not bothering him like it was last year. So again, exploit that speed. I mean, you only got a few guys on this team that are like just Albert Pujols 2.0, like Shonawell's surprisingly slow. Trout's lost a step, but can still run. There's some guys with surprising speed too. Chris Taylor, you wouldn't think is a speed guy, but he's got a nice set of wheels on him. So you do have players who can book it around the bases, and I think they should utilize that into some small ball. Whether they'll do it or not, I don't know. Whether we're hoping for a miracle, I just feel like that just helps out this hitting so much more if they were to be that type of team that would be focusing less on launch angle and more on contact.
So that was a perfect segue right there. So let's talk about a guy who has been Johnny Hustle, and that's Zach Neto. Now, he did get injured sliding into home plate a couple days ago. He was slid head first. So Kurt Suzuki has said that he wasn't mad at him. They've been emphasizing trying to be aggressive this year, trying to take an extra base when it's safe to do so. In this case, it ended up just being a freak injury. Slid head first and just kind of sprained his left hand wrist.
Now, did he have the oven mitt on, the Mike Trout oven mitt?
I don't know if he did or not.
Okay, because I would think
he does typically wear one. I don't know. I think he wears it on his left. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, because I was thinking, man, if he didn't learn from last year's injury to have an oven mitt, because I do remember him having one last year, but I didn't know if he wore one in that spring training game. That's the thing. And by the way, is that the curse of Dan Edwards' his celebrity kind of events? Because remember on the day of the last year, it was Ohapi, he got the concussion, and then this year it was the splint for Neto, same day. For the Top Golf thing.
Dang, yeah. I didn't notice it until was it Rob?
Pointed it out? Jeez.
Yeah, tough luck for sure.
Mm-hmm. But that's a guy we can't afford to have injured, man.
100%. I mean, luckily, X-rays were negative. It looks like it's a disaster averted type of situation. But obviously Neto, as I already said, has not had a healthy season fully just yet. We need him to have one. He needs to have one himself. But anytime this kind of stuff happens, it's scary because once again, it's just a freak injury, right? It's one of those things that happen. Where are you on sliding head first? I never did it. When I was playing, I was always a feet first slider. I could think of one time where I slid head first, and that was because I was tripping, and so I just kind of went with it.
Yeah, I've only slid head first about 4 times in my career, and 3 times were in the minors. One time was in high school where it was like one of those things where at the last minute when I was already halfway down the line, I'm like, either I'm going to crash into the catcher or I'm going to try to slide behind him, and I slid behind him. And I got in safe as he was trying to, like, the glove went over the back of my head. I thought he tagged me, but the umpire said I was safe. So I was like, cool. And the only other time I did it to where it worked, because I got thrown out the other 2 times, the ball, like the catcher actually moved away to the left of the box as the ball was coming in off the mound. And then I was able to, on the front side of home plate, kind of dive up in the air and then come down and just drag my right hand over the plate before he was able to touch my my ankle coming across the plate. So those are only 2 times out of the 4 that it worked. But yeah, definitely you're leaving yourself open for some serious injury, because I've only seen one in my time playing where the guy hurt himself sliding feet first in, and that's only because his cleat got stuck in the turf. Other than that, man, it's much safer to go feet first.
I was at an Angels game. So it must have been 2017. It was when Bryce Harper and Mike Trout, when that was the big rivalry. Cameron Maben he was stealing. He was sliding into second base, and his cleat dug in. So his right leg was stuck, and the rest of his body kept going. So he just kind of hyperextended. I mean, his groin. I maybe some of you guys remember, but yeah, that was. I don't know if that was the day they gave out these Mike Trout MVP All-Star Game dual MVP bobblehead. If any of you guys have that one.
Oh,
okay. The double-sided one.
That's pretty cool.
It was that day because I remember being at that game. And I remember watching the play happen and just like being there, like, oh gosh. It was also really like pain. You know, like when somebody gets hurt and you feel the pain for them. I was just thinking about how much that must have sucked. But yeah, Cameron Maybin, definitely one of my favorite players. Not because he was an incredible player, but definitely a guy that was never afraid to get dirty, always gave it 100%.
And he was a spark plug too. Always played a good, solid defense. So yeah. What I want to bring up too, since we're talking about injuries and what's up, Mace, is he's giving us a shout out right there. What's up, everyone in the comments? Very disappointing news again, and I wanted to get your take on this. It's bugged the hell out of me, and that's Robert Stevenson, again, a guy who's supposedly to be slated once again as their setup guy. And this guy, listen, I've known players, I think you have as well, that have had Tommy John surgery or reconstructive elbow surgery, basically what it is, or UCL strains, other kind of
UCLA, the Bruins, huh?
Yeah, Bruin strains. But the point being is you have about a year of recovery. Then you start warming up, you start pitching, you're going to face some discomfort. And when you start to get back to competitive play, you're going to have maybe some buildup of fluid. You're going to have some inflammation. You're going to have some scar tissue. And you might hear a pop or two. It's the same thing when I tore my ACL. They said it would take over a year or two to get strong. You're going to feel some weakness. You're going to feel some strengths. You're going to feel some poppings. It's part of the process, basically. And each time he feels the basic stuff, Fernando, not like the Dodgers. I have a feeling the Dodgers will say, no, you're playing through an injury. We'll tell you if we need to shut you down. The Angels are more like, when Mike Trout says, I don't want to DH no more, I'm playing center field. But Mike, and then they're like, well, it's Mike Trout. And Stevenson, Rendon did the same thing, Fernando, but it seems like Stevenson's doing the same thing. The coaches and the doctors aren't shutting him down. He's shutting himself down again.
Yeah, with Stevenson, the only thing that I think is a little different is this does appear to be another potential UCL injury, right?
Supposedly. He hasn't been diagnosed. I just don't see this many times happening, bro. Like he hasn't even made a serious attempt at coming back. Like he's only made a couple innings.
I think he pitched he pitched 12 games last year. Let me see how many innings total that was.
Because think about this, Fernando. He's on the third year of a $33 million contract.
He still technically has one more year, correct? Because remember when he signed the 3-year deal, that first year would have been waived if he was injured?
That's correct. Okay, you're right.
Now, I don't know if the Angels have to pick it up or if it automatically kicked in. That's something I would need to go on Spock Track to look at. I'm sorry. I don't know Robert Stevenson's contract off the top of my head.
Oh, I thought you would know that, man.
I'm pretty good at like contracts, but yeah, there's some guy like Robert Stevenson. The guy's been such a non-factor. He really has been.
Oh,
what a terrible contract.
Oh, it is. You could just throw that in the barn burner or the box with all the other bad contracts the Angels have given out over the last decade or two. But I was expecting you, Fernando, to know your fiance's birthday and also Robert Stevenson's contract. It's the same.
Yeah. Don't forget your anniversary and all that too. They're just as important.
Exactly.
Let me see. So he's only had a total of 1 year eligible as an Angel. But he did have a WAR somehow of 0.3 as an Angel. That's pretty wild. Let me see. He pitched a total of 10 innings as an Angel so far.
That is pathetic. Happy Camel says, honestly, it's Manassian's fault for signing a known injury-prone player. But
he's such a long contract, too. It's one thing if you would have given the guy like a 1 year or even like a minor league contract.
Prove it,
yeah. But yeah, a prove it contract, sure. But yeah, you gave him a 3-year deal. And it's like 12 a pop?
Yeah, and they locked him in as a guy. It's like, okay, not only are you going to be, at worst, you're a setup guy and you're probably our closer. And again, that was the whole thing that me and you were talking about in the offseason. It's like, okay, you need Kenley Jansen in there. Sign him back because everything struck out last year. They got Yates now to be the closer, but you think about it, you don't have what's his name, the flamethrower, Joyce. You don't know what you're getting out of him. He's been injured the last 2 years. And then this guy, Stevenson, same thing. So these guys were supposed to be your setup guys at worst. Now they're, you still don't know what you're getting out of Joyce. And Kirby Yates is Kirby Yates. So I'm frustrated.
I don't know if you want to read that in your Roger Lodge voice. Is that what he's aiming at?
Yeah, Rogers is going to read Mace's right here. Remember 86 and 76 and 26. Don and Fernando, our pitching is great.
Yeah. So I just pulled up the Robert Stevenson contract, and thank you very much for the super chat there. We always appreciate that.
Yeah.
So when we signed him, he was 31 years old, and I would say old, not young in this case. He was injured all of 2024, 2025. As I said, he only pitched 10 innings. I think it was a total of 12 games. And in 2027, he has a club option that could get picked up by the team. Looks like that's a $2.5 million hit, so that's not much at all. And then he'll be an unrestricted free agent in 2028. It was a 3-year, $33 million contract for anyone scoring at home.
Wow. Still, I mean, it was a risk, and it's even worse now. Brian says, Fernando, you need the new Quakes hat with the halo colors.
I absolutely do. This was the one I got when they were like clearing out the inventory. I got it for $6.
You can't beat that.
Can't beat it for $6. I will definitely get the new Quakes hat. It is definitely on the list. Promise.
Yep. And Happy Camel says, at least Stevenson seems sympathetic about not playing, unlike our piece of shit third baseman.
Yeah, it's so funny looking at the Angels roster and still seeing his face.
Yeah,
because he's still technically in the organization, which is just terrible.
Yeah, that's mind-boggling. He could still play for us if he wanted to. So that is wow.
Well, but luckily that's the case if he wanted to.
Yeah,
don't have to worry about that, folks. Don't worry, Rendon can't hurt you.
Now, here's the thing I want to ask you, Fernando. Do you think by the end of April we will be seeing the Angels at their current record, as they are currently in spring training at 12 and 13? Do you consider that a win? Starting out April, if we're like 12 and 13.
Dude, if the Angels are 12 and 13, I'm throwing a party. If the Angels are if let's just say we are really getting into like May here and the Angels are still like 500, I mean, hey, that's a win.
That's
a win is a win is a win.
I hate saying it, but you're absolutely right, bro. I mean, there is no, I think this is the first season where we're going into it trying to be positive. And we have no we have no expectations, bro. I mean, it's just hey man, we got to win today. All right, pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, we won. Like George Knox and Angels in the outfield.
Like, whoa, all right.
So one thing I want to bring up. So MLB The Show comes out tomorrow officially. Obviously, if you pre-ordered and you got a higher copy, you were able to play as of Friday. If you have played already, let us know in the comments what you think. If not, are you getting the game tomorrow? Todd, one of my favorite things to do every year is ask you, who are the top 5 Angels on the 2026 MLB The Show, and what do you think their ratings are? So let's first start off with the top 5 guys. Who do you think the top guy rated is?
I'd have to say at this point, Zach Neto.
Okay. Who do you think is number 2?
Mike Trout.
Okay. Number 3?
I'd say, because the video game people don't know, but I'd say Logan Hoppe.
Okay. So number 4, who would you think?
Sean Owell.
Okay. And finally, 5th. Who do you think to round it out?
Actually, no. I backed that up. I'm sorry. I backed it up. Make Adele 3rd, Hoppe 4th, and 5th Kikuchi.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you the order, and then after you know the order, I want you to guess the overalls.
Okay.
Trout is number 1.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, go figure. Number 2 is Zach Neto. Number 3 is Kikuchi.
Okay.
Number 4 is Grayson Rodriguez.
Wow. Okay.
And number 5 is Jose Soriano.
Huh. Interesting.
Soriano's one I thought you would have guessed. I know you're a big Soriano guy.
I just didn't know that the game evaluates him that high too. Okay.
Okay. So what do you think Trout is overall?
I'd say Trout's a 92.
Okay. What do you think Neto is?
89.
Okay. Kikuchi?
85.
Grayson Rodriguez?
84.
And finally, Soriano?
82.
Okay.
They have to be all in the 80s and above, I think.
So Trout is obviously in bed with somebody in San Diego studios. He's a 96.
What?
I don't look, man. I love my Trout.
I do
Trout's
too.
been my boy forever, but I don't think he's been a 96 for a long time. It's
No.
been quite a few years. You
I
know
thought
what?
I was
92 or something. All right.
I thought I was being a little generous with 92, but
Yeah. I would have bought the 92, but 96, I don't know. I think it was like a 97 or like 98 or something last year. And you can
correct.
still rake on the game with Trout.
Oh yeah.
Zach Neto, 84. I think I would say it's probably more of like a 86, 87, but I can do 84. I think that's valid.
Yeah.
Yusei Kikuchi is an 83.
That sounds about right. I would have said 83, between 83 and 85.
Yeah. Now the one I don't agree with, I don't think Grayson Rodriguez should be this high coming off of injury and technically hasn't pitched in like a year
2
and a
years.
half. Technically,
Yeah.
He's an 80.
No.
Yeah, a little high to me. I like Grayson Rodriguez. I liked him on the Orioles. And Jose Soriano's an 80. I think Jose Soriano should be ahead of Rodriguez. I don't think Rodriguez should be in the top 5.
But I do like Soriano at 80 because I think it's he hasn't proved it yet, but it's the game showing him that he has potential, like with that rating. I do like the 80 for him. But
okay, fair enough.
Let me show you let me tell you the current roster, because obviously we're going to do a show a couple days before the opening game in Houston. But as of right now, do you agree with this? The Angels depth chart has Kikuchi as the ace, Soriano 2, Reed Detmers is your 3, Rodriguez is your 4, and Manoah is 5.
Yeah, I know we were going to talk about Alek Manoah. I don't think that he's honestly earned his way on the team. Personally, I think I do believe he has an option left. If that's the case, I think you send him down. And if it's not the case, I mean, it was a $5 million deal. I don't think he's making the team better. I'm letting him go if it was up to me. I think it's tough because I am a Jose Soriano homer. I really want him to earn the opening day start, but I also understand if he's not quite there yet. And who knows? If you remember a couple of years ago, Patrick Sandoval got the opening day start, and we were all scratching our heads. And was it Nevin at the time? Was like, oh man, I think that this is going to light a fire under his butt. It didn't work, but perhaps giving a guy like Kikuchi the opening day start again could ignite Jose Soriano to prove this year that he can be that guy going into next year. And then maybe next year you can start grabbing the Sharpie every year and saying, hey, well, Soriano's here. He's going to get the nod until, Tyler Bremner steps up or George Clausen or Caden Dana. One of those guys takes it to the next level and earns that spot.
Yeah, because the way it looks right now, I mean, Kikuchi's not going to scare anybody. He's more finesse. You'd like to have a hard throwing right-hander, and Soriano, when he has, he reminds me of Reed Detmers a little bit. When he looks lost, he kind of looks frustrated. He's kind of showing his teeth in a way, and he's just grimacing a lot. But when he's on, dude, he's just matter of fact. He's walking to the dugout. He's got a swag to him, and he looks calm and comfortable. And he's definitely got the ace stuff. I think me and you were hitting on it last year. It's like, man, when he's on, he's freaking on. I'd like to see that come through, because I remember it was a game where the MLB Network was participating, and before the game, Pedro Martinez spent like time with him on the mound and in the bullpen session, and particularly that night he pitched his best game of the year. So maybe he just needs a positive reinforcement or a tweak here, a tweak there, because he does have ace stuff. And this year, like to those pitchers you brought up, even Aldegary, you have some arms down there in the minors this year that, should be knocking on the door where, maybe Manoah's spot's not safe. Maybe Reed Detmer's spot's not safe. And I don't know, man. I mean, the rotation, how it's set, I'm not happy with it, but if they go, we'll have to see, because we saw it last year. They started a certain way and then they started to adjust to get the rotation they wanted to. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, Jose Soriano. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised he didn't participate in the World Baseball Classic. I understand the Dominican Republic was a very stacked team. Obviously, they couldn't get it done against Team USA. But that doesn't change the fact that on paper they did have an extremely talented roster. But I do think Jose Soriano would have been good enough to at least pitch out of their bullpen. And personally, I think it is good to send some of those pitchers out there and work in to have actual competitive at bats because, here's the thing in spring training, guys like, I don't know. Because guys like Juan Soto, these Tatis, Machado, those guys were in the World Baseball Classic. But who are the fringe guys that weren't? Pete Alonso is a big name that wasn't in the World Baseball Classic. And I know we don't face the Orioles. But in a spring training environment, a guy like Pete Alonso is working on hitting pitches that he's not good at. For instance, hit a fastball up in the zone like Mike Trout hasn't been in the last couple of years. They sit on those type of pitches, right? That's what they try to work on. They try to work on extending these at-bats. And I just feel like in an environment like the World Baseball Classic, because every pitch matters, it's treated very much like a real baseball game during a season. That bats are more competitive. I just think that it kind of helps your pitchers get that edge a little bit more, but that's just me. But I would have really liked them to have made the DR roster this year.
Yeah, face some really good talent off the bat, so hopefully like you get them in that mid-season form, hopefully if you can.
I will say, you had mentioned Reed Detmer's third in the rotation. I'm just super happy that before the season started, Kurt Suzuki already told him that he earned a roster spot because he has like a 7-point-something ERA. 7.27 ERA in 3 games. He is 0-1, which or whatever record doesn't count in spring training, and only 8 innings pitched. He does have 8 strikeouts, which is pretty good for Reed Detmers because he typically isn't a K machine.
Yeah, that's not a good start for him, and you'd like to see that's the thing too. Like you said, wins and losses don't matter. It's ERA, strikeouts, working on things, and you're allowed to have one bad start or two because you know that you're going to flip it and get it going. But then you look at the bullpen. You got Drew Pomeranz, Jordan Romano, Ryan Zephyr-John, Chase Silseth, Brett Suter, Kirby Yates, Ben Joyce, who's out, and Robert Stevenson, who's out. That's currently the bullpen as we speak, but it's obviously going to change with injury. The lineup looks like this. You got Logan O'Hoppe at catcher, Darno at backup. You got Shawna at first, Oswaldo Peraza, and Jaimier Candelario, along with Vaughn Grissom as infielders, to go along with Adam Frazier, Johan Mancada, Zach Neto. And then the outfield is Josh Lowe, Chris Taylor, Joe Adell, Mike Trout, and Jorge Soler. That's your squad. And Bryce Teodosio. Jose Siri. There you go.
Yeah, Jose Siri also hasn't had the best spring. So one bullpen guy that was left off because he is, of course, on a minor league contract, but I do think he's going to break camp with the team. Hunter Strickland. Not a bad spring, 4 games, 4 innings pitched, 2 strikeouts, has not given up any runs that are earned at least. He's obviously already kind of been here. This is his 3rd tip of the cap with us. 4th, his 4th, if we count the trade a couple years ago.
Yes.
I think he's probably earned a spot.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, that guy you can't point to a Strickland time period when he's been with the Angels where you're just like, boy, he's ass. He's pitched really good to where
when we traded for him a couple years ago, he was definitely butt cheeks.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But he has been one of the calming influences. He's also been a mentor to some of these young kids coming up. So I think that in itself is good to help that, the team. But he's obviously not a mainstay. He's a year to year. And the thing is, too, if this team were smart, you'd have an opportunity to say, hey, let's flip the guy, like at the deadline, like we want so many other players to do. If he's pitching to like a 2 ERA, bro, I mean, some team's going to get him. Oh, Ryan Johnson right there.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson has not had a bad spring either. My whole thing is Ryan Johnson is in the same camp that Christian Moore is to me. Now, Christian Moore obviously has already been optioned, but, let these guys mature at their own pace. There's nothing wrong with leaving him in the minors. I mean, this guy is 23, so he's still very much young. You know, if he truly earns a spot, then so be it. But I don't think there's any rush for this kid. Send him down to the minors, let him work on some stuff, let him marinate just a little bit longer. Yeah, where are you on it? He's pitched in 4 games, 4.63 ERA, 11.2 innings pitched, but he has struck out 14.
Yeah, he's definitely a power pitcher, and it just depends on how you're doing this rotation. Because as we saw the rotation right now, Grayson Rodriguez at times is a power pitcher. Kikuchi's more finesse. Reed Detmers is more finesse. Manoa, who the hell knows? But if you get a guy like Johnson who could be ready to flamethrow along with Soriano and Grayson Rodriguez, that's not bad. Have 3 righties in that rotation. Yeah, you would like to have a little mixing up with the lefties, but I have a feeling, dude, Reed is not going to make it through the year as a starter in this rotation.
Not the way he's going right now.
Yeah, and to me, I don't know if you feel the same, bro, but I think it could either be him to beat Manoa out of that rotation. There's a good probability that because I don't think either one of those guys survived the year.
Yeah,
I think they're filled in by one of our, one or both of our rookies coming up.
Well, and the other guy to bring up, and you guys might laugh me out of the building, Jack Kohanowitz has not had a terrible spring either. 3 games, 2 ERA, 8.2 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts. He's been a little bit more, he's been better in terms of attacking guys, going right after them, not lingering too much, around the zone, because that was his issue last year, was just beating around the bush. There is throwers and then there are pitchers, right? Greg Maddux was a pitcher, not a thrower. Mm-hmm. I almost feel like a Ben Joyce is a thrower sometimes more than a pitcher. Mason Miller from the Padres is either really good or really bad that day. I mean, yesterday he wasn't exceptionally great for Team USA. Got the job done, sure. But my point is there's definitely pitchers, there's throwers. You kind of need to find that balance. And Jack Kohanowitz has seemingly done that this spring. So I'm really interested to see if the Angels just will give him the 5th spot until he loses it like he did last year. All I know is if he does get it, they don't need to do what they did last year where they just let the wheels fall off. They left them in there way too long last year.
Yeah, when he starts to fall into some issues or bad tendencies like you brought up, that's the time to bring the hook out, because he's got a phenomenal 2-seam fastball and a 4-seam fastball, and the sinker tends to dive in the outer corner of the plate. When he has problems, he starts at 2 inside, and it goes over the plate, and it's just a hittable pitch. But when he's on, he's hit. It fades back into the inside part of the right-hander or a left-hander hitter, and it just works. So when he has those pitches, I mean, what was it the game last year where 18 of his 21 outs were on the ground? So he can be very effective. And it's been said by some of the pitching coaches, I think it was Barry Enright last year, said that Kohanowitz has a better sinker than Soriano. And Soriano's sinker is supposed to be elite. So, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, dude. If Kohanowitz can fine-tune his pitching and get it more accurate where he wants it, dude, he could be a devastating pitcher for the Angels.
We mentioned earlier, we were talking about Kyron Paris, and the organization kind of need to figure out what they're going to do with the 24-year-old kid. Now, Jack Kohanowitz is also 25 years old.
Yeah,
kind of need to figure out what you want to do with him too. Is he going to be a part? Is he a piece of this puzzle? Is he not? I understand he had a really tough 2025. And just in case you forgot, or maybe you just kind of stumbled upon this podcast and you're not exactly an Angels fan, you're just listening. 23 games, 3-11 record, 6.81 ERA, 111 innings pitched, and only 72 strikeouts. Yeah, he struggled mightily last year for sure. But, here's the thing. Being completely honest with you, if I looked at my phone and it said that Jack Kohanowitz was DFA'd, I'd be a little disappointed, honestly. I don't think he's a DFA candidate. I don't think it's time to give up on this kid just yet. Now, if he gets traded for another asset, let's just say, God forbid someone goes down with an injury and the Angels need to replace him with like a serviceable major leaguer who can be around for a couple years, and they use Jack Kohanowitz to do that, great, that's fine, so be it. But I certainly don't think it's time to give up on him like it was time to get rid of like Jose Suarez when they did. And I don't think you've soured on Jack Kohanowitz yet either. Same with like Ryan Zefferjon. To me, those are like the same kind of pitcher. Still young, still controllable. They have potential. They've shown that they can have potential. And I do think Jack Ohanowitz could be a solid number 5 in a rotation. And there's nothing wrong with that. Every pitching staff needs a solid number 4, a solid number 5. Jack could be that guy.
That is true. Now, Strange brought up one more, and I think I'm a bunch this in with the other pitchers you talked about. He's talking about Bachman, right?
Oof, yeah.
Bachman, Zephyr-John, Kowanowitz, and Reed Detmers. You often talk about Mike Maddox as being that toy maker that could fix the broken toys, but as a pitcher or a pitching coach, if he can't fix it, then they're not worth it. Out of those 4, do you think Maddox can fix them or toss them?
I've been a Reed Detmers hater for the last couple of years.
You don't want to be, though.
I don't want to be, but I mean, Reed Detmers is really going to have to blow me away. I was really impressed with what I saw last year, but once again, that was in a small sample size because he was pitching 2 innings a week, 3 innings a week. I think Reed Detmers is a spot starter who is a long reliever. You know what I mean? Kind of what Michael Lorenzen was for the Reds before he signed with the Angels, became a starting pitcher. And now he's been a serviceable starting pitcher. Even the World Baseball Classic, done pretty good. Yep. That's a guy the Angels should have brought back. I said it before. I'll say it again. They should have brought him instead of Alek Manoah. Call me crazy, folks, but I do think he should have come back. And
to your point, Fernando, 1 no-hitter and 2 playoff appearances later.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Reed Detmers also got a no-hitter. So, I mean, so did that one guy, Dallas Braid. Now he walked around with a giant beard because everyone forgot. Sam Bachman is a really good pick. Strange. 5 games this spring, has no record, 0.0 ERA, 6.2 innings pitched, 12 strikeouts. Now, when the Angels drafted him in 21, he was expected to move up the ranks quickly. A lot of people said, hey, the Angels can call him up right now, and he can be a closing pitcher. They can call him up right now, and he can be a back end of the bullpen guy, kind of like K-Rod was when we called him up in 2002. So we were kind of expecting that out of Sam Bachman. But unfortunately, because of his injury issues, he just hasn't been that guy. He's just about always hurt. In his career as a major leaguer, he's only pitched in 34.
34 games.
The guy that was drafted in 2021, being up there in age.
What are you breaking up there, Fernando?
What I do with this guy? Don't know what's going on. But yes, as I was saying, Sam Bach, 26 years old, kind of have to figure out what you're going to do with the guy. Is he part of this bullpen? I think his starting days are behind him. That ship has sailed. You need to figure out if he can stay healthy enough to use him as a bullpen guy. I do think he could be a serviceable 7th inning guy. I really do. I think this year you could have Bachman followed by eventually Ben Joyce and then probably Kirby Yates closing out. Then you also have Stutter, who is a high leverage lefty. He has been in his career. The guy that we got from the Phillies on a 1-year deal. Can somebody please help me out? Also struggling, much like Kirby Yates. He's a project.
Yeah, we have a lot of we have a lot of projects on this squad, and the back end of the bullpen, I think will figure itself out, especially with Mike Maddox, the rotation. And I just go back to, I don't think this is going to be a team that's going to give up 8 runs a night. They'll have their stinkers here and there. I just worry about the offense. I really like if Brady Anderson and Mayberry aren't preaching contact, I'm going to be severely disappointed, bro.
It was Jordan Romano. Jordan Romano was the name.
There you go. Yeah, Romano. Yeah.
Yeah, so another guy that can be a high leverage guy because he has been in the past. So
correct.
I don't think this bullpen is going to be as bad as I originally thought. I will say that. I will give Perry credit where credit is due. He did get a lot of depth moves in the bullpen, and that's never, ever, ever a bad thing. Todd and I would never talk trash about bullpen depth.
No, the bullpen has been one of the strengths that he's been able to take care of. It's just been everything else that has hurt the Angels. And not only that, it's been the constant injuries too. I mean, injuries can hurt any team in any sport. And I think it's just been around the Angels so much. It's been a pain in the ass to watch. It's been very frustrating.
All right. So do you have anything else about the Angels directly before maybe we close it out with some WBC?
No, I think we covered most of it. Again, we're going to be winding down the preseason here as as the WBC is as well. And that's a good transition because right now they're in the 7th and it's still 2-1 Italy at this moment. So WBC has been fantastic, my friend.
The espresso drinkers. Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun to watch. It's great to see baseball get the credit that it's due. Obviously I'm biased because baseball is my favorite sport, but man, oh man, when there is a big home run, like we've seen plenty in the World Baseball Classic, there is not a sport on the planet that can match that level of excitement. I mean, even during Game 7 of the World Series last year between the Blue Jays and the Smurfs, that was such a competitive game. It was back and forth. It was a slugfest. It was the old school wrestling, chain wrestling, where one guy would punch him and then the heel would punch him back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's like what I love about baseball. It's the only sport that can create that environment where it's back and forth. It's the only sport where you have that like suspense in a big moment. Like last night with Team USA and the DR, Will Smith let a runner basically single-handedly get to third base.
Yeah.
And I was at the edge of my seat that last at bat between was it Perdomo and
Mason Miller.
Because I was like, man, Will Smith is going to choke this game for Team USA. At least you can text your neighborhood Dodger fan and give him a hard time about that.
And there was a lot of plays too. I mean, when they hit the ball down the line, I thought they were going to send Wells home, and they decided to hold him, and maybe that cost him. There could have been a play at the plate because everyone was on their feet, or the play where, again, the second time in the World Baseball Classic, there's a fly ball to Judge or a ground ball to Judge, and the runner tries to take the extra base, and he guns him out at third. I thought that was awesome
crazy.
when he was like that. Yeah, so perfect throw, no bounce, dude, just straight right to the third baseman Witt.
Yeah, Judge isn't really known as a guy with a great arm, and Tatis is known as a speedster, so that's why I was a little surprised by that. So I don't love Aaron Judge because he obviously wears the pinstripes, but I will give credit where the credit is due. Tip of the cap to Mr. Judge there. Came up defensively pretty good. Now I want to ask you this. Normally we talk about guys who are managers, especially first-time managers who could potentially get jobs out. In Major League Baseball. Does the DR getting eliminated hurt the stock of Mr. Albert Pujols, or do you think he still has a legitimate chance to land a managerial job at some point?
I think it's you can look at it two ways. If he impressed enough people in the Dominican Republic and those that have ties to Major League ball clubs, I think Pujols will get a much better look than a Benji Gill will. But yeah, I think if he would have won this classic, I would think that would definitely shoot him towards the top of the list of gets for next year as far as a manager. I mean, look how close he came to becoming an Angels manager. It was just a few more million and a second year, and Artie did not want to do both. Otherwise, we'd be talking about, him being our manager and somebody else as the DR manager.
Yeah, I would have loved that, man. I really wanted Pujols to be the manager. I mean, obviously, I've said on many times, and you have too, that we'd like Benji Gill to be the manager. Definitely, like at least 5 or 6 guys I'd rather see. You know what? There's a lot of people I'd rather see than Kurt Suzuki. Who am I kidding? But at the end of the day, Kurt Suzuki is the manager of this ball club. We're going to give him a legitimate shot. I think it's only right at this point. No matter what, he's at the helm. So, got to give him an opportunity. Mark DeRosa, I think he's gotten a lot of criticism this World Baseball Classic. Is he a guy that has just shot himself in the foot too many times this World Baseball Classic, where he would never get a legitimate chance as a major league manager?
I think you have to have a perfect type of presence in the World Baseball Classic as a manager, a relatable, a no-nonsense, because we haven't seen animated managers in this World Baseball Classic, but you need good
strategy. Benji Gill.
Yeah, you need good strategists though. And I think Benji Gill's set himself up. I think people know him in the baseball world as, a manager that's competent in the Mexican League and even more in the World Baseball Classic. The players relate to him, they respect him. And I think they're trying to get the same thing out of Pujols. And I think where DeRosa kind of screwed himself over is, I mean, you got to know the rules, man. You got to know that hey, you needed that win or you needed that game, and what are you doing? They put another B lineup in there. So yeah, those kind of mistakes. I mean, if he ever had a chance, because I don't think he was at the top of the list of anybody really. A lot of people disrespect him because he came from the MLB network, even though he was a player. They don't want to hire a dude like that. But even if he were to win the World Baseball Classic, you're right. He shot himself in the foot, man.
Yeah, once that whole thing came out about oh, we need this win. Believe me, we want to win. And then I mean, there was a while there where they were getting shellacked by Italy. Yeah, they made it interesting in the end, but yeah, when you make that big of a mistake and you're going out there confidently saying, "Oh, we don't need this win. Our ticket's already punched," and in fact it wasn't, you look pretty bad.
Yeah, that's after pre-games and all that stuff. I mean, you should know exactly what's at stake and like before you go into it. Because I was even surprised. I'm like, dude, we're pitching Yarbrough. I mean, where's Kershaw at this point? It's just it didn't make any sense. But
I want to give you the opportunity to talk about Tarek Skubal.
Yeah. Oh, Scooble. Yeah. Okay. So for me, I was harping on this entire time because I'm very surprised to see them where they're at. Like outside of what is it? Skenes. Scuba only gave it like a mild college try. He was like, nah, I'm not going to go more than 5 innings, but I'll be there to cheer my boys on. I need to get in work with Detroit. I think you'd get better work pitching, even if you had a low pitch count here in the World Baseball Classic and you're helping country. I thought it was very selfish. He took up a roster spot from somebody that would have gave their right arm or left arm literally to pitch for Team America. So very disappointed in Scooble, lost a lot of respect for him. And the fact that he's a Boris client. Yeah, dude, he's going to be nowhere close to Anaheim.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we were doing a fantasy draft and I had to pick between Scooble and Skenes, I would have picked Skenes anyway, but now it's not even a consideration. I would definitely pick Skenes.
Correct.
I just think Skenes is more of a gamer. I like his, it's weird. He has swagger when he's up there, but he like doesn't show it. You know what I mean? He just kind of has that presence. Skenes up there almost reminds me of like Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson had a certain aura when he was up there, a certain presence, didn't try to do too much, but he was just kind of intimidating up there. Same thing with Skenes, because when you watch him pitch, he doesn't have a violent motion. He has a very natural fluid motion, but man, oh man, is his stuff just so good.
Yeah, it almost seems like he throws faster than Mason Miller, but he really doesn't. It's just his release point. When he goes 0 to 100 real quick, you're not able to pick up on it. It leaves his arm and his wrist so fast. So yeah, he's definitely a top 3 pitcher in the majors, if not the guy, because he's got the stuff. And again, what was phenomenal is he went a little longer than they thought he would. He threw into the 70s and almost got through 5 frames. And that's an accomplishment against a all-star lineup like he faced last night.
Yeah, that was a true test. He looked phenomenal. He did great. And he got the U.S. to the finals. I mean,
yes,
it's essentially single-handedly. Yes, I understand Gunnar Hansen hit a home run. It was essentially the winning home run very early on. But, I mean, yeah, Paul Skenes just shut down that lineup, took the wind out of the sail of the DR pretty quickly. I mean, yes, Junior Caminero made it 1-0 very quickly. And after that, Paul Skenes shook it off and just kept going.
Yeah, and that bullpen did a hell of a job. They got some timely defense. And then when it comes down to it right now, you got Venezuela tying it up on an infield single. So they're tied at 2 with a go-ahead run at second in the top of the 7th against Team Italy. Either, like I said, either one of these teams are going to give the U.S. a problem. And the thing I've been thinking about the U.S. team this entire World Baseball Classic, they have not had a breakout game offensively at all. They've had to rely heavily on a pitching staff that's not as good as other teams and a very good bullpen that has saved their behinds a bunch of times so far.
Yeah, we'll talk eventually, maybe on the next episode, about performances from various Angels in the World Baseball Classic, because a couple of Angels did make a name for themselves. I mean, Sandy Gary did a phenomenal job, and then Lucas Ramirez for Team Brazil. But like I said, we can talk about those guys and some of the other Angels on a later episode. But yeah, those two guys definitely impressed the baseball world, not even just Angels fans.
You mentioned Victor. I don't know. You kind of cut out. Was he from Canada or it was Great Britain? I forgot that pitcher. He's in Single A for. He's actually in Rancho Cucamonga. Victor. I forget.
Niger or something like that
Niger Victor or something like that. Yeah, that guy, man, he's got some great stuff.
Yeah, he did great for Great Britain.
Yep, and as we spoke right now, Venezuela has just taken the lead. Garcia with a single to left. Yeah, Choro scores. Acuna goes to second. There's still 2 outs. They're doing it off of Lorenzen, I believe, right now. So, that game. Wow, now Italy's on the having to do the comeback, but they got to get out of this one right here. That's like 3 or 4 straight hits. So, yikes.
The merry-go-round keeps going.
Absolutely. I think I'm done on this one. We went a little over, but I'm getting excited, Fernando. This what is it called? The season's almost upon us, man. We got a few things, but when we start out, we're gonna have a few watch parties. So I'm excited, my man.
Yeah, I'm ready for 86 and 76 and 26. Well, we have you guys here, guys. Make sure to like the video, participate in the comments down below. Tell your friends what we got going on here. Give us a 5-star review if you're listening on the audio platform of your choice. Subscribe. All that helps us against the YouTube algorithm. Obviously, little shows like us get buried a lot, so we really appreciate you guys taking the time. If you guys can do that and be part of the conversation. And if you want to take it a step further, follow us on social media at Halos in the Infield. You can follow myself at the Lone Star Halo. You can follow Todd Fox on his Fox_Todd_Hitty account. And thank you to our sponsors. I don't know, Todd, if you want to mention some of those.
Yeah, man, if you're looking for tickets to anything, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, future Olympics that are coming to Los Angeles and other states, check it out. It's 714 Tickets. 714 Tickets. You could use our code HITI in the Apply Now code. It is unlike any other code out there. Why? Because you could use it over and over and over like a Buena Park gigolo, as Fernando likes to say. It's not a one-time deal and you have to start a new email. No, sir. You get that 10% off every single time. And the best part about 714 Tickets, that it's tax-free and no service charge. So the price you see on the screen minus the 10% is the price you get. So we'll pump up 714 for right now. The other sponsors like Mezzo and the others we'll get to on later shows.
All right. Well, on behalf of all of us here at Halos in the Infield, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.
Thank you all for watching the Halos in the Infield podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe on your way out.